to influence the kinds of dreams and the quality of sleep that you have. So it's really important to be in like a really wonderful, relaxed state when you fall asleep. And that tends to attract more wonderful, relaxing, peaceful dreams. So incubation is pretty much just done simply by setting an intention to have a dream. And that's achieved in the ancient world by praying to particular gods and goddesses, by performing certain rituals or sacrifices. And we're going to be doing that. We're not going to be sacrificing anything too much in our course, but we're going to be using some of the technologies, if you like, of the ancient world to connect with an incubation tradition that's useful for modern dreamers.
Well, it's interesting that the oracular function was so central in the ancient times, whereas we kind of moved to a more psychological self-interpretation kind of relationship with dreams in a lot of the modern psychological texts. So how do you know if a dream is really oracular or not? I mean, so you're seeding it, you're intending it. How do you begin to know that this is something that is actually portending future?
Well, the way that they look at oracular dreams in the past seems to be along the lines of them being oracular, being a kind of pattern recognition to work out what possible futures might occur. And one of the interesting things about that perception of future in the ancient world, especially if you look at the Mesopotamian texts, is that the future isn't set in stone either. It is changeable. So one of the major actions of a dream worker in ancient Mesopotamia, for example, is to work out what you've done to offend your personal gods, so that they will then return their favor to you. And your personal gods, if they're annoyed with you, can send you nightmares. So you want to try to get rid of those nightmares. You need to placate the gods. So the future isn't set in stone. The future, we can dream it. I do believe that there's something about dreaming where you are actively manifesting the future in the dream state. It's the perfect foundation, if you think about it, to bring new things into your life. If you dream them, you kind of slowly become them. And I think what we're going to be working on a lot in the course is working with our own personal mythologies and trying to manifest something in the dream space that we could then recognize when it appears in our waking reality.
Love you to share a little bit more about the personal gods. And I know that Greek gods and goddesses are sort of, in some ways, have a more full spectrum of human emotions and personalities, really. So share a little bit about, like, how that's useful to think about personal gods and the sort of the placation of them and the sort of working with them in a more sort of dialogical way.
Well, we're working with the Greek pantheon for this, and I'm sort of specializing now in ancient Greek dream incubation practices, and I'm living close to the sanctuary of Asklepios. So what's very interesting, if you look at Asklepios, for example, is he is the divine physician, and his temples in Greece were really, they're called hospitals by a lot of tour guides these days, but they're really holistic healing sanctuaries where this whole kind of menu of amazing holistic treatments was on offer, from things like sacred theatre, where you could purge, where catharsis occurred, and you could purge your negative emotions by watching drama, by watching comedy, by crying and laughing and bringing up those emotions and releasing them. You could do lots of exercise. You could take part in competitions. So all of the gods and goddesses in the Greek pantheon are kind of, especially those associated with healing and oracles, are celebrated at the Asklepion, at the holistic healing sanctuary. And each of them offer something unique. And just that manifestation in a divine physical form means that you can kind of directly project your attention at them, because there's a physical manifestation, there's an ideal aesthetic look of what these gods and goddesses look at. It makes it easy for us to kind of shoot our arrow of desire at these targets and to personify these ideas. So we're going to be working with Aphrodite, with Ares, and all of these different gods and goddesses have these qualities that are around us all the time, but they're quite vague or nebulous, but giving them a personified form, giving them the shape and form of a god or goddess means it's easier in some ways to have a dialogue, to have a conversation, to have a meaningful interaction. And in the healing dreams that were offered by the god Asklepios, he would appear to patients in their dreams and he would directly touch them or give them some medicine. And one of my ideas around this is that when you're in a lucid dream in particular, when something occurs in a lucid dream, it provokes a physical, biophysical response to that prompt. So I think when Asklepios offers medicine or offers a healing touch, the dreamer, because they're so overwhelmed with the presence of the god as well. I often compare it to, when you've got a crush on someone and you have a lucid dream and you have an amazing encounter with them, like your body responds physically because you're excited to see this person. And I think for ancient people in Greece, when they saw their god Asklepios, they would have been activated to be awake in the dream state and for that body to respond in a loving, essential, excellent way to this treatment that they received in the dream.
Do you find that the gods and goddesses like Asklepios are sort of still available to us in the same kind of way, or were they kind of like amplified by the collective worship and engagement with them in the time, so they're sort of a little bit like remnants now, if you will?
I think there are remnants, but a lot of people that come on the retreats, they'll have dream encounters with Asklepios. Anywhere you go in ancient Italy, in ancient Greece, there was basically an Asklepion, one of these holistic healing sanctuaries in any sizable city or town. So once you see Asklepios, once you recognize his symbols, I think you start to understand that he's pretty much everywhere. We still use the rod of Asklepios as the sign for the medical practice these days, the rod with a serpent entwined around it. Yeah, Asklepios is everywhere.
It's truly fascinating. So, so you kind of mentioned that different gods and goddesses can be kind of almost like good projection screens for parts of ourselves. Do you sort of like do you try to find like what god or goddess you first most resonate with or have most negative charge with to sort of start this process?
I've kind of chosen gods and goddesses that I think provide a sort of holistic look at the human psyche in some ways. So we will be working with personal mythology, because personal mythology is a kind of technique that I find really powerful to help you to wake up in the dreams, because you go through these processes of identifying what your own personal motifs are, your own symbols and signs, and any recurring dreams that you have, any dream themes, you identify those, and then you begin to work out your own personal mythology. And then it's an interesting process to see which of the gods and goddesses you might most resonate with because of that.
So say a little bit more about understanding our own mythology. Like, how do you sort of discern the arc of that, or what sort of the kind of key themes are that are more mythological?
One thing I always ask people is, what was their favorite fairy tale when they were a child? Because I think that often is a kind of foundation for the sorts of myths and the sorts of stories that we start to write ourselves into. And it creates a kind of framework for the structure of our lives in some ways, and the way we interpret, the way we perceive events that happen to us. So one of the other things we'll be working with is the concept of Mnemosyne and Lethe. So Mnemosyne is the goddess of divine remembrance, and she was a really important goddess in ancient Greece, and she was a Titan, so an ancient goddess who personified the mortals, the human race, remembering that they had divine origins, remembering that they are a race from heaven, and they are born from the earth and the sky. And Lethe, who's her kind of opposite but counterpart as well, who's the goddess of oblivion and forgetting. But actually, forgetting can be quite useful, and a big part of the process of dreaming, we know on a kind of neurological, neuroscientific level, is that we detoxify the brain, we release and let go of some memories. And very often we are still holding on to patterns and memories that don't serve us. So part of the process of Lethe is letting go of those things that don't serve us anymore and remembering our divinity and moving forward and evolving through divine remembrance.
So maybe walk us through the choosing of a particular god or goddess to work with, and then how you would incubate a particular dream or connection that can be powerful.
In the ancient Greek tradition, most gods and goddesses have a variety of different things associated with them. They usually have a plant, they usually have a color, they usually have an object or a symbol. And these are all useful tools. One of the exercises we'll be doing is trying to cultivate a more synesthetic perception. So trying to expand and connect the senses can be really useful for dreaming. And we'll also be doing telepathy experiments as well to see if we can start to pick up on one another's dreams, if we can start collective dreaming using these symbols and these signs.
Great. Do you want to walk us through a few different of the gods and goddesses and why we might want to sort of invoke or work with particular ones, since they're kind of a representation of our overall psyche?
Well, Mnemosyne is my favorite. She is my muse, and she is the mother of all of the muses. So she is the daughter of heaven and earth. She gave birth to all of the muses. So in this sense, you can look at her as being the source of all inspiration in the world. And she is a psychopomp as well. So she guides people in the Orphic mysteries. She guides the Orphics into Hades, into the afterlife. And as she's guiding them in, she's reminding them to not forget who they are. She reminds them where they have to drink their waters of memory, that they mustn't drink the waters of oblivion and forget their existence. So Mnemosyne can be really useful when she was invoked by ancient orators and writers and poets, politicians who wanted to make really rousing, moving speeches. She's invoked for erudition and eloquence. And as well as being the goddess of divine remembrance, she's also the goddess of sense making. So she helps you to make sense of your place in the world, of your place in space and time. And I think this has interesting ramifications for Mnemosyne in the dream state as well, because in some of the texts that I've read from the sanctuaries of Asklepios, when people went into the sleep temple to incubate for their healing dream where they were going to encounter the god, they invoked Mnemosyne as one of the last rituals. So they invoked Mnemosyne, I think, not just so that they could remember their dream, but that when they were actually dreaming, they would remember themselves within the dream and then have the kind of conscious awareness to recognize and remember their encounter with the god Asklepios. So remembering is really significant in lucid dreaming. One of the best practices you can do for lucidity is working on memory and encouraging and developing your memory skills.
Maybe give another example or two of different gods and what we might want to focus on with them.
So we are also going to be working with Aphrodite and Ares. So Aphrodite and Ares, an interesting coupling in the Greek pantheon. So Aphrodite is the goddess of love, of romance, of beauty, of sensuality. And Ares is the god of war, but they come together. And I find this very interesting in terms of the stories, because only Aphrodite can overcome war and fighting and battles, because only love really can transform those feelings of warfare, of fighting. And one of the reasons we'll be working with them is because a lot of people that get into lucid dreaming as a child. And most children get into lucid dreaming because they have nightmares, and they learn in those nightmares to wake themselves up in the dream state. And if they then kind of go on to, instead of waking themselves up, to not be afraid of the thing that's scary in the dream, they become quite adept at lucid dreaming. So Aphrodite is really interesting, because in the lucid dream state, you can turn something that's really terrifying into something that's really beautiful and lovely and wonderful. So this incredible alchemy can occur. And for anyone who has had that experience, you really recognize how love and war are either ends of the same spectrum, that you can alchemize this feeling of hatred and fear into love in the dream state, which is an amazing feeling.
I know you do some work with somatic techniques to help enhance lucid dreaming. I think that'd be interesting to understand, like, how we can sort of weave that into this.
So one of the really, Carlos Castaneda wrote about looking at your hand, the palm of your hand, to remember that you're dreaming later on in a dream. So it's a sort of imprinting of the image of your hand, so that when you're dreaming later on in the evening, you'll catch sight of your hand in the dream, and it will remind you that you're in a dream in that moment. So one of the things that I think can be really useful is to actually remind yourself of the physical and tactile sensations of the hand, and to make that more of a somatic and mnemonic device. So what I do is a sort of an expansion of that process. So you look at the palm of your hand and you ask yourself, is this a dream? And as you say the words, is this a dream, and you use the question mark as well, you pinch the tips of your fingers and you lie on your back to incubate for a dream when you've set your intention. And you repeat that process until you reach the point where you're really tired and you can no longer be bothered to do the action of moving and squeezing the tips of your fingers. And you can no longer be bothered to say and vocalize, is this a dream? It takes quite a while. And when you reach that point, you just say, is this a dream, question mark, sub-vocally. And then you remember the sensation, the tactile sensation of your fingertip being squeezed. So you're trying to really feel and see into the tips of your fingers. So you're, in some sense, then also really defining the boundaries of your dream body. So you're really connecting viscerally with the dream body. And when you start to enter that process of hypnagogia, you know, that stage as you're drifting off to sleep, you're just on the kind of liminal edge of a dream. I often describe it a bit like Alice falling down the rabbit hole in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. You're kind of keeping a soft gaze, you're traveling downwards, you're traveling through space. And you want to keep reminding yourself that you are thinking and consciously moving into the dream space. So by doing this practice, just until you fall asleep, really reminding yourself as you're falling asleep that you're still there, but not holding anything too strongly, you can enter a dream state from being fully awake. And it helps a lot if you lie on your back and you try to refrain from turning onto your side for as long as possible.
It's really fascinating. Well, I'd love for you to jump into an actual practice. I know you were going to guide us in a bit of a Dream Temple taste of what you're going to be doing in your upcoming course as well.
Great. Okay, so for this practice, we're going to invoke the goddess Mnemosyne, my favorite goddess. And this is the reason why I've worn gold today, because she is a golden robed goddess. And for this exercise, we're going to be taking a posture called the throned god or goddess. And this is a posture that you often see ancient statues taking, whether they're Egyptian or Greek. They're just sitting in a throne. The throne in the ancient world is really this symbol of primordial creation. So very often the throne represents the seat of a land. So I want you to imagine that you are the king or queen of your own dreamland, and that you're sitting like a royal figure, very relaxed, with a very straight back, lifting your head and neck and keeping them straight, with your feet flat on the floor and with your palms flat on the tops of your thighs. Taking a deep breath in, filling your lungs with golden, healing, divine air. And as you breathe out, just feel your whole body relaxing and surrendering, but keeping that very full, regal posture. Feeling an aura of gold around your entire body. We are invoking the goddess Mnemosyne, mother of the muses, daughter of heaven and earth. She is the child of the earth and starry heavens. She permits us to drink the water of memory so that we may take our place amongst the other initiates. And just starting at the crown of your head, I want you to imagine you are wearing a crown. a crown of golden stars and flowers glowing in sunlight. Just feel the energies of sunlight pouring into the top of your head. Just filling your skull with this golden liquid, warm honey. Feeling your face soften and relax, your neck soften, your shoulders sink down. Keeping your spine nice and straight, your head erect, really connecting with that royal throned posture. And in your heart center, just feel a drop of golden sunlight inside your heart. And just feel the warmth of that drop of golden sunlight irradiate your entire body, recalibrating every cell, every fiber, every bone, every muscle, every organ, every cell bathing in that glorious golden light. Then relax your stomach, your hips, feeling that golden light washing through your pelvic bowl, releasing your left hip point, your right hip point, releasing and relaxing your thigh muscles, the bones of your legs, your knees, your shin bones, your calf muscles, really relaxing and softening your ankles now. Moving your attention to the tops of your feet, to the soles of your feet, the heels, and then feeling that golden light trickling into your toes, trickling down from your ankles into your toes. And pay attention to your breathing now. Become aware of how your heart has slowed, your pulse has slowed, your breathing has slowed. Just feel the radiance of that golden light of Mnemosyne, goddess of divine remembrance. Psychopomp, muse, the goddess who wakes us up in the dream state. Bringing your attention to your hands resting on your thighs, feeling that golden energy, that golden light move through your hands and fingers, and beginning to feel a sparkling, tingling sensation at the tips of your fingers now. Beginning to remember yourself in the dream, moving your attention to your right hand, and with my voice, following the sound of my voice, moving your attention to the tip of your right thumb. And as I say the name Mnemosyne, I want you to feel a slight pulsation in the tip of your thumb, Mnemosyne. Moving to your first finger, feeling the same slight pulsation in the tip of your first finger, Mnemosyne. Mnemosyne. Moving on to the next fingers, Mnemosyne, Mnemosyne, and now your little finger, Mnemosyne. Moving your attention now to your left hand resting heavily relaxed, calm, serene. On your left thigh, bringing your attention to your left thumb. and remembering the name of the goddess of remembrance, Mnemosyne. And as I speak her name, feel a pulsation in the tip of your left thumb and connect also with a golden aura, a golden light, a golden radiance. Mnemosyne, Mnemosyne, the first finger, second finger now, Mnemosyne, third finger, Mnemosyne, and your little finger, Mnemosyne. Connecting now to the space between your eyebrows. Connecting with your third eye. Feeling that golden sunlight streaming into your third eye, bathing your brain in gold. Feeling your eyes becoming very heavy, very relaxed, sinking back and down into your skull. Feeling your whole body golden, radiant, a beacon for the gods and goddesses. The name Mnemosyne etched into your dream memory. You will remember the name of the goddess in dreams, and she will come to wake you up in a lucid dream. Take a deep breath in now, fully integrating and entangling the name Mnemosyne, the waters of remembrance, into your body, into your soul, into your mind. And I am going to count up from 0 to 10. And when I get to 10, you will be wide awake and fully present once again. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Feeling your body return to a normal rhythm of breathing. 5, 6. Becoming aware of the boundary of your body and the rest of the world. 8, 9, bringing some energy and movement back into your toes and fingertips. 9, 10, taking a breath in, feeling refreshed and revived. And when you're ready, 10, you can open your eyes and return to our conversation.
Well, thank you for that. I'm wondering if you can share a little bit more about how do we recognize when Mnemosyne shows up? How do we recognize her?
She should have a golden aura. You know, one of the interesting things I think about prophetic dreams and oracular dreams is prophecy in the ancient world isn't just about predicting the future. It's about seeing the truth. And sometimes I think just seeing, feeling, and understanding the truth can be healing in and of itself. So Mnemosyne, we should have a feeling of our divine origins, this sudden presence and awareness of where we are in space and time. One of the interesting things about dreaming is we're not just an avatar plonked into a dream when we go to sleep at night. We are the actual fabric of the entire dream. And when we become lucid, we are able to be aware of this. And it's an incredible, overwhelming sensation, which is why people often wake up when they become lucid. They get too excited and they wake up. So some of the techniques we're going to be learning during the course are to prolong and sustain the experience of lucidity.
Fascinating. You use the term waters of remembrance, and I was sort of drawn to that in your guided visualization there. And I wonder if you can just share a little bit about the waters of remembrance and why water is important with lucid dreaming as well.
Water is something that's often used as a kind of magical sacrament. There are rites of purification, of lustration, of bathing sacred statues, bathing the body in order to prepare itself for incubation. So water for me is something that is synonymous with memory. It's something that could be imprinted with ideas, with blessings, with wishes, with desires. And we'll be using water as a tool to imprint a particular desire and to incubate with that dream, with that desire, by drinking water that we've imbued with certain symbols and ideas. So in ancient Egypt, there was one of my favorite artifacts from ancient Egypt. There's a type of stela, a type of statue that's called a healing stela. And this was a statue that was engraved with the utterances of the goddess Isis. And it had an image of the child Horus holding poisonous snakes and scorpions, treading on crocodiles. And it was a stela that the priests would pour liquid over, and this liquid would then be imbued with the magical qualities of these images and these sacred magical prayers and spells and words. And the patient then would collect the fluid or the water that had been poured over these inscriptions and drink that, and that could act as a medicinal sacrament. So we're going to be working with those principles, because that was something the Greeks considered Isis to be their own goddess, and we're going to be working with some of those ideas in our course as well.
It's really fascinating. I wonder if you could give a few different examples of seeding and really incubating a lucid dream, and what that led to in terms of prophetic understanding of something that was coming.
Well, I've had dreams with because I've been so into gods and goddesses, a few dreams with gods and goddesses. I've had a dream with the Venus of Willendorf, which was the kind of prehistoric clay figurine who rolled over my body, and I could smell these like crushed grasses and crushed herbs. And I have a lot of dream retreats where I go to ancient places to incubate for dreams, where you sleep with these cave paintings, or you sleep with certain statues, and you try to connect with the gods and goddesses in the dream state. So this was something that, propelled my interest in sleeping in these ancient Neolithic sites where we dream with ancient statues. And I had a dream where I was visited by the Zoroastrian god Ahura Mazda. And Ahura Mazda is the god of the sunlight. He's the sort of primary deity in the Zoroastrian tradition. And in that dream, I was standing on the landing in my childhood home, and Ahura Mazda came down from the ceiling as a being, a god of just pure light. And one of the interesting things about dreams is that you have these multiple perspectives, so you can see close up, far away, inside, outside, long distance, all simultaneously. And Ahura Mazda came down from the sky, and I could see him walking into my body. And as he walked into my body, the spirals of my DNA unwound, and I could see like microscopically and the bigger picture simultaneously. And my DNA spirals turned into ladders that he could then walk down as a being of light. And I could see this happening on this microscopic level. And each time he stepped on a rung, it lit up, it glowed, and it was like it was healed. It felt incredible. And when I woke up, I felt amazing and incredible. And there are so many precognitive oracular dreams that people have all the time, but because we don't often record our dreams, or certainly we don't record them every day, we're not always looking at our dreams for clues about how the future is going to play out. And I do believe that the future isn't fixed, the future isn't set in stone. So I do think it's flexible and malleable, and you can start to dream things. I had an experience where I had a sort of dream initiation of being in Greece before I moved here. And in that dream, I was part of a procession going somewhere for this big festival, a big carnival, and people were dressing up and putting wigs and hats and driving classic cars. And a woman grabbed me by the shoulders and put a veil over my face, and then tapped a circle with a cross on it as a symbol. And I recognize that as being the Virgin Mary. And then she pushed me backwards. And as I was falling backwards, I've often had these dreams before where I think that if I just surrender to it, that I might die in the dream, that I will cease to exist in waking reality. And this time as I was falling backwards, I was like, okay, I want to see what actually happens. I'm prepared to die. So she pushed me backwards. And as I fell backwards, I fell into this kind of cosmic, amazing matrix of love. It was like falling into a nebula, and it was exquisite. And the moment I touched it, it was like tasting bliss in my whole body and soul. And I had this epiphany that this is what happens when you die. And then my fear of death was released, and I woke up. And I woke up like with this incredible sense of I had touched the other side, and it was absolutely nothing to be scared of.
Truly fascinating dream. Yeah. Well, Sarah, it's a revelation talking to you, and I really feel like you have such a fascinating perspective on how to incubate lucid dreams and sort of work with the oracular function and connect in with specific gods and goddesses. So I want to spend some time now talking about how people can go deeper into the program that we've referenced. So Sarah's going to be teaching a brand new course for Shift. It's called Lucid Dreaming with the Divine. Connect with dream oracles from ancient Greek temples for guidance and healing. And so it very much builds on the foundation of what we've begun discussing here today, and really takes you deep into the practice. You can find it at the URL luciddreamingmysteries.com, luciddreamingmysteries.com. It's a 7-week program, and there's no prerequisites for this. It's really just if you have a curiosity or a leaning into this, or sense of wanting to open this new horizon for your life, you're warmly welcome. So Sarah, I'd love for you to share about some of your intentions for what people will come away from the program with, and then let's give a tour of the modules and what's coming.
So the idea behind this course is that it really helps you to become more aware of your dream experiences. So not just become lucid within the dreams, but really aware of your dream narrative, your dream story, your dream memories, and how dreams can be useful to you and offer healing and can offer transformation. You can kind of be your own therapist in the dream state. You can actually access these encounters with gods and goddesses that can act as alchemical tools to activate certain things in you that you might not feel you can do yourself. But we're going to learn a lot about the history and culture of dreaming, especially in ancient Greece. And if you have not remembered a dream for a long time, but even if you're a very experienced lucid dreamer, there are going to be things that you can get out of this course. It's a really deep dive into working through particular deities in the Greek pantheon and how invoking them can enhance and add clarity and eloquence to our dreaming experiences.
Great. So module 1 is called Harness the Power of Aries and Aphrodite to Awaken Love and Creativity.
So this is really about looking at anywhere where dreams might be holding us back. We might have anxiety dreams. We might have boring dreams. A lot of people have boring dreams where they just go to work all day and they don't enjoy themselves very much. And some people have nightmares. So we're looking at how the negative can be alchemized in that one, how we can turn something negative into something exquisite and blissful.
Module 2, enter the dream realm with Dionysus to cultivate lucidity and clarity.
So this is where we're going to be learning how you can enter a lucid dream from a state of wakefulness. Dionysus is the torchbearer, so he illuminates the path. So we're going to learn how to expand and extend the hypnagogic experience, becoming more aware of our entry into an actual dream.
Module 3, hunt for dream clues with Artemis and Apollo to strengthen your intuition and powers of prophecy.
Well, there's something very interesting about dreams and how they encourage the detective, the hunter in us. So, in this one, we're going to be looking for those personal motifs, those personal symbols and clues, hunting and writing down, recording previous dreams and trying to work out what the motifs and themes are so we can follow the trail. Because there's something about dreaming where you're trying to work things out all the time. So, we're really going to engage that. And then Apollo is a god of healing, harmony, but also prophecy. So we're going to be working with the images and the symbols that come up in our dreams and see what we can predict or detect through them.
Module 4, experience a dream initiation with Demeter and Kore to release limiting beliefs and be reborn.
One of the areas that I'm super interested in studying living in Greece is the mystery traditions, and in particular, the mysteries of Alephsis that celebrated Demeter and Kore. And they took place about half an hour from where I am now in this incredible sanctuary. And initiation, that sense of initiation, is something we can conjure up in dream states if we seed our dreams correctly. So with this, we're working with having a kind of mini personal telesterion experience where we wake up to the reality of our existence in the dream.
Amazing module. Then we go to module 5, discover divine remembrance and forgetting with Mnemosyne and Lethe to awaken self-awareness and creativity.
So this is what I was talking about earlier, this idea that we do have to forget things sometimes. We do have to release and surrender some things. So here we're going to be working out what is it that we can let go of and what is it we really want to pay attention to that can lead us and help us evolve in dreams. So we're looking for the remembrance of the divine, connection with source in the dream state, and forgetting and releasing any sort of negative nagging anxieties or recurring dream themes that don't serve us.
Module 6, activate dream healing with Asklepios and Hygeia to restore balance and well-being.
So Asklepios is the divine physician, and he is the god in ancient sleep temples, usually, who would come to you in a dream and directly heal you. He would be either in his physical form as a man, or he might take the form of a snake or serpent. And Agia is his daughter, and together they represent this holistic healing approach. So in this dream, we're going to be in this session rather, we're going to be looking at how can something that happens in a dream actually heal your physical body, which is something that I think can happen.
That's exciting. Module 7 then goes into complete your dream journey with Telesphorus and Panacea for sustained healing and growth.
So this one is all about integration, really. Telesphorus is the personification of the cure. His name means completion, perfection. So this is how can we really move on with all of the things that we've learned during the duration of this course and integrate them to make our dreams continue this kind of journey of growth and development. So Telesphorus is the kind of final treatment in the Asklepian treatment, in the Asklepian center. Telesphorus is the child god who oversees the actual cure. And Panacea is a daughter of Asklepios, and she is the universal remedy. So we're going to look at how we can integrate everything that we've learned during the course into our lives on a regular, daily, nightly basis.
What an amazing program. And it's like you really get not only lucid dreaming skills, but deep transformational understanding of working with different gods and goddesses and a deep understanding of history as well. So again, it's all laid out in more detail at luciddreamingmysteries.com, luciddreamingmysteries.com. If you choose to move forward, you're going to get not only the 7 90-minute live sessions with Sarah, which we've just described, that it'll have time to engage in interactive practices together, as well as Q&A time. You'll have recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts to work with, study, and highlight. There are weekly exercises for home. There's a Facebook community to support you and deepen your experience. It's really a great forum to share what you're experiencing to help to integrate it as well. There'll be some small group time to connect with other participants. And on the page, there's quite a robust roster of extra bonuses to enhance your journey as well. I want to ask first about this first bonus. It's called Dream Memory and Telepathy Experiments. That's really cool. It's a video from Sarah, from you. I want to share a little bit more about that bonus?
So that is working with techniques to really engage the dream body. So we talked about somatic mnemonic devices. So we're really working at waking up the dream body. And this can be really helpful in that hypnagogic process. So as you're drifting off to sleep, we've got certain techniques that we can use to make sure that our body sort of maintains awareness and consciousness and presence as we're entering a dream. And then telepathy is something that I'm very interested in with regards to dreaming, because it's something that people often report. It's a big feature. I don't know if you've ever seen the or listened to the new podcast Telepathy Tapes, but they talk a lot about telepathy occurring in dreams. And it's something that's often reported, that telepathy is something that happens in the lucid dream state in particular. So we're going to be looking to cultivate that. And this is something we can also test live, because we have a group of students all practicing the same stuff. So hopefully we'll be developing some telepathic dream connections.
Exciting. There's another bonus that's a video conversation between Sarah and Robert Moss, who teaches many dream programs for Shift. It's called Temple Sleep and Dream Incubation in the Ancient World. Anything special you want to note about that dialogue with Robert?
Oh, that was a good one, because I did that. I'm in a hotel room in Athens at the moment, but I recorded that interview I live in a little orange grove in Epidavros. And so it was very nice, because I was in my orange grove, I was in my Asclepian comfort zone. And we talked a lot about, Robert has visited many of these Asclepian temples as well. So he was very enthusiastic and excited about the fact that I'm actually living in Epidavros and sleeping in the encumeterions on a regular basis. So we talked about enkoimesis, which is the art, if you like, of sleeping for the purpose of receiving a healing dream.
What a great dialogue and really fascinating horizons. So, and then there's another bonus. It's also from Sarah. It's a PDF called the Dream Hygiene Protocol. Sarah, you want to share about that bonus?
So this is really like, how can you create your own personal encumeterion? How can you turn your bedroom into a place that's absolutely optimal for you to have a good night's sleep? And if you do have a good night's sleep, you are much more likely to have interesting, wonderful dreams. We talked about, if you fall asleep in a good way, if you feel peaceful and calm when you fall asleep, you tend to have better dreams. And there are lots of little things we can do, from feng shui, well-known traditions of what direction you should have your head in, for example. That document contains pretty much everything.
That's a great extra bonus. And there's still one more, which is actually 4 in 1. It's 4 guided hypnagogic meditations at sacred sites. This is a video from Sarah. It's a special bonus you get when you sign up by midnight today, which gives you a little extra encouragement to take the time to go over the page at luciddreamingmysteries.com and really tune in now with your inner knowing. And if you feel called to move forward, you're going to get those 4 guided hypnagogic meditations. Sarah, you want to share more about those?
So I'm really excited about those ones, because they are hypnagogic meditations that I've actually recorded in sacred areas of the Asclepion of Epidavros. So I've recorded them in the sanctuary of the Egyptian gods, which, as I mentioned, the Greeks really adored Isis. They really absorbed her into their pantheon, and she's celebrated as a healer. She's known as Isis Chrysalis at Epidavros. And so she was also, in that particular sanctuary, people went there to initiate into her mystery rites. So this was somewhere for rebirth, for proper transformation and metamorphosis. And she's called Isis Chrysalis. So in this dream, we're talking about the chrysalis, how we can transform and alchemize our lives in the dream state.
That's a great extra reason to sign up right away. The 4 guided hypnagogic meditations at sacred sites. So it's clearly going to be a beautiful, eye-opening adventure of a program, and we're really blessed to be hosting it. Again, it's all at luciddreamingmysteries.com. A few of the things about it. So we've kept the investment very accessible for this. It's just 3 payments of $128, or save 10% if you pay in full with 1 payment of $349. The course is going to start March 25th and run Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, which also really works well for Europe and Greece or wherever you happen to be. There's some great testimonials on the page. People say, couldn't hope to find a better dream teacher and dream weaver. Sarah possesses the rare combination of deep knowledge and the heart of a true practitioner. Results have been quick and profound. And so really you're in great hands, and you'll get to explore some exciting new frontiers, and really get some practices that can last a lifetime. So again, the whole program is laid out in detail at luciddreamingmysteries.com, luciddreamingmysteries.com. So Sarah, we're nearing the end of our time. Really fascinating hour. Thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your adventurous spirit as well, too. I love that you sleep in these temples to incubate dreams. So anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering doing the full course with you?
I would just say, I think you might be amazed at what you can experience in the dream state. And a lot of the work I'm going to be doing is going to be from Greece. So it is actually going to be from the landscape of Asklepios, which for me is a magical landscape, which has helped me manifest and bring into my reality through dreams so many of my deepest desires. So I really hope that people will join this course. I think you will love it. And I'm sure the gods and goddesses will start visiting you in dreams. One of the things about researching the ancient Greek sleep temple tradition that I really love is I found out that Asklepios often visits people in dreams and tells them to come to his healing sanctuary to receive dreams. And so he might come in the form of a man, or he might come in the form of a serpent or a dog. So if you see Asklepios in your dreams, then you know that this course is for you.
Well, that's a beautiful, beautiful way to close. Well, thank you, Sarah, for this revelatory hour and for this really powerful work. So again, Sarah's going to be teaching the course Lucid Dreaming with the Divine, Connect with Dream Oracles from Ancient Greek Temples for Guidance and Healing. And you can find all the details at luciddreamingmysteries.com, and you'll get that special bonus with the 4 guided hypnagogic meditations at sacred sites if you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank you so much, all, and thank you, Sarah, as well.
Thank you, Stephen. That was great.